So here I am with my new to me 2016 Prism and doing one of the things that I've always wanted to be able to do, which is just pull off on the side of the road and check stuff out. With the travel trailer, that was much more difficult to be able to do. If I hadn't already scoped something out, I had no idea whether or not I was going to be able to get in and out of there. But the new RV is super small. It's only a couple of feet longer than my pickup truck, which means I can pretty much go pretty much anywhere. So here's where we are today. This is the Mono Lake County Park with the boardwalk out to Mono Lake, which is a pretty interesting place to visit, full of Tufa, which is formed from freshwater springs coming up in saltwater. So Mono Lake's had a really vital role in preserving a corridor of shorebird habitats. There actually is not a whole lot of full-time life that lives in Mono Lake, and of course it's much lower than it was originally because a lot of it got drained by Los Angeles County Water and Power. So I think, if I recall correctly from the last time I was here, which has been many, many years ago, as we go through the walk, it'll show us the different levels at which the lake used to exist. So, in the summer of 1863, members of a field party working on Josiah Whitney's famous geological survey of California camped on the shore of Mono Lake a short distance from this location. William H. Brewer, field party member and later the professor of agriculture at the Sheffield Scientific School, described the tufa formations on the lake shore in his journal entry of July 1st, 1863. Along this shore, many curious rocks stand up from the water of lime tufa made by springs in former times. They are very fantastic shapes, often worn by the water into the form of huge mushrooms 10 to 20 feet high. This property was purchased by the city of Los Angeles in 1944, and in 1979 was leased to the county of Mono, whose Department of Parks and Recreation maintains the park facility. So it's really quite a nice park as well. They've got, picnic benches, a little footbridge over there that crosses over to that side where there's a playground, and I can't quite see what else. So I might have to check that out too. In fact, let's check that out first. Or not. The water sprinklers are running. I don't feel like getting wet. So we're going to head on down this walkway. And this also appears to be wheelchair accessible from the parking lot. As we leave the grassy area of the park, you can see we've got quite the riparian habitat here. Quite lush. And then we're actually on an elevated boardwalk because you need to preserve the wetland area. Plus, you'd be slogging through a lot of wetlands. So here's the first one. In 1941, the elevation was 6,417 feet, and the shoreline of Mono Lake was all the way out to here. And as you can see right now, can't really see the lake yet. Although this appears to be maybe getting some improvement. I know they've been working on it for a really long time, in that this seems to be much more lush along the boardwalk, which means more water this far back as compared to when I was here many years ago. Ten years later, it was down to 6,410 feet. So that was a pretty significant amount of water that got pumped out of here early on. one up ahead is just passing the next sign, which I imagine is another 10 years down. Quite the diversity of birds in this area, as well as a lot of wildflowers. In fact, I spooked a bird as I walked up here. I felt bad about that. So we've got song sparrows and yellow warblers, red-winged blackbirds, which are among my favorite birds. I really like the violet-green swallows too. Wilson snipes, Virginia rail. I think it was a Virginia rail that I just spooked actually. And yellow-headed blackbird. I don't think I've ever seen any of those. And brewer's blackbirds, of course, which are really common. In fact, there were many brewer's blackbirds in my campground that I stayed at last night. Also, I found it kind of interesting that the campground was maybe 10 minutes away from here. And when I asked the desk clerk how far it was, she didn't know. She had no idea. I thought that was a little interesting to be so close to something like this and dealing in a tourist business and not really have a good clue. So we can see the Tufa coming into view right now. So as of 1963, we were down to 6,392 feet. The last sign said 1959 was 6,400. So 4 years, 8-foot drop. Pretty impressive. And check out the Tufa. Kind of reminds me of a family posing for a portrait. So keep in mind that these used to be submerged in the water. They were actually formed by the lake, you know, when this was actually part of the lake at that point. Beautiful area. You're not really getting a great view of it, which is why I haven't been pointing at the sky. I'm filming this in mid-August, and you know, it's California and we got a bunch of wildfires going on, so this is all smoke and haze from the wildfires that are burning north and west of here. There's some more over there, closer to the water. And then we can see the formations that are actually in the water. So thanks for coming along with me on this quick trip to check out the Tufa. And it's one of the things that I'm really enjoying about having the RV. This is why I got it, so I can stop and do, you know, things that are off my beaten path without having actually checked them out ahead of time. And even though I have been here before, it hasn't been for a long time, and I couldn't remember what the parking situation was. Chances are, when I had come through here before with my truck and trailer and thought about doing this, I probably wouldn't have been able to get in because that was on a weekend, and this area gets a lot of traffic on weekends. Check out the mountain views such as they are for the moment, because as I said, we're obscured by a lot of haze. But if you haven't been in the Lee Vining, Mammoth Lakes, Mono Lake area before, highly recommended. I love the Eastern Sierras. One of my favorite places to be. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll talk soon.